The private life of Adolf Hitler has long fascinated historians and the public alike, and within that fascination, Eva Braun occupies a peculiar position. She was simultaneously central and invisible, emotionally indispensable to Hitler, yet largely erased from the official image of the Third Reich. This tension has created fertile ground for speculation, particularly around the idea that Eva Braun may have had affairs with men inside Hitler's inner circle. Two names surface repeatedly in such claims: Albert Speer and Hermann Fegelein. The question is not simply whether such affairs occurred, but why the rumors exist at all, and what the historical record actually tells us. Eva Braun entered Hitler's life in 1929 as a teenager working in the photography studio of Heinrich Hoffmann. By the early 1930s, she had become emotionally attached to Hitler, even as he kept their relationship hidden from public view. Hitler's self-presentation as a leader married to Germany meant that Eva Braun was excluded from political life, state events, and most official social settings. She lived on the margins, near power, but never inside it. This marginalization is crucial to understanding both her psychology and the later rumors about her. Eva Braun had little autonomy. She did not shape policy, did not influence strategy, and did not participate in ideological debates. Her world consisted of waiting for Hitler's attention, waiting for invitations, waiting for acknowledgement. Contemporary accounts describe long stretches of boredom punctuated by moments of intense emotional dependency. Yet despite this isolation, there is no credible evidence that Eva Braun sought intimacy elsewhere. Her surviving letters and diary fragments reveal a woman deeply invested in Hitler, often painfully so. She expressed jealousy, insecurity, and despair when ignored, but never hinted at romantic interest in other men. Her suicide attempts in the early 1930s are generally interpreted by historians as emotional crises rooted in abandonment and invisibility, not evidence of a desire to escape the relationship. Albert Speer, often portrayed as the technocrat of the Third Reich, seems at first glance an unlikely candidate for a secret affair. He was highly intelligent, ambitious, and deeply embedded in the regime's power structures. Speer later claimed ignorance of the Holocaust and fashioned himself after the war as an apolitical professional, a narrative historians have since dismantled, but which required extensive scrutiny of his personal life. Speer left behind voluminous memoirs, correspondence, and testimony. He was interrogated repeatedly by Allied authorities, historians, and journalists. His relationships, loyalties, and rivalries were dissected in extraordinary detail. Within this vast documentation, Eva Braun barely appears. When she does, she is peripheral. Speer encountered her primarily at the Berghof, always within the structured hierarchy of Hitler's presence. There is no record, no letter, no diary entry, no third-party testimony, suggesting private meetings, emotional intimacy, or sexual involvement between Speer and Eva Braun. Historians generally agree that Speer's relationship with Hitler was professional, even calculating, and that Eva Braun held little interest for him beyond her role as part of Hitler's domestic environment. More importantly, the personalities involved do not align with the rumor. Speer was cautious, image-conscious, and acutely aware of Hitler's sensitivities. An affair with Eva Braun would have been extraordinarily dangerous, both personally and politically. Even among the reckless figures of the Nazi elite, crossing Hitler in such a way would have been suicidal. The absence of evidence here is not accidental. It reflects the reality that such an affair almost certainly did not exist. Hermann Fegelein, by contrast, occupies a different psychological and social space, and it is here that speculation becomes more persistent. Fegelein was a cavalry officer, an SS general, and Heinrich Himmler's liaison at Hitler's headquarters. He was also married to Eva Braun's sister Gretel in 1944, making him part of Eva Braun's extended family. Unlike Speer, Fegelein was known for his hedonism, corruption, and serial infidelity. Multiple witnesses described him as impulsive, arrogant, and habitually drunk. Fegelein's reputation alone has led some to assume that proximity plus character equals affair. He moved freely within Hitler's inner circle, attended social gatherings, and interacted casually with Eva Braun. Unlike most of Hitler's associates, he was not stiff or deferential. He joked, flirted, and behaved with a familiarity that scandalized others. But familiarity is not evidence. No contemporary source, not Eva Braun's writings, not staff testimony, not Gestapo files, not post-war interrogations, supports the claim of a sexual or romantic relationship between Eva Braun and Fegelein. On the contrary, the existing material suggests that Eva Braun viewed Fegelein with a mix of amusement and contempt. He was tolerated, not trusted. It is also important to understand Eva Braun's own moral framework. While not politically engaged, she internalized Hitler's expectations of loyalty and exclusivity. Witnesses consistently describe her as monogamous, emotionally fixated, and almost childlike in her devotion. This does not make her virtuous, it makes her dependent. Her identity was built entirely around being Hitler's companion, however unofficial that role was. An affair with Fegelein would not have been a rebellion, it would have shattered the only structure she had. The events of April 1945 further undermined the affair narrative. As Berlin collapsed, Fegelein attempted to flee the city, abandoning his post and his pregnant wife. He was arrested, tried, and executed on Hitler's direct orders. Eva Braun was present in the bunker during this period. According to multiple witnesses, she did not intervene, protest, or show particular distress at Fegelein's fate. If there had been an intimate relationship, this emotional detachment would be difficult to explain. Instead, Eva Braun remained focused on Hitler to the very end. She refused multiple opportunities to escape Berlin. She married Hitler in the bunker less than 48 hours before their joint suicide. These final actions are consistent with a life defined by singular attachment, not secret affairs. So why do the rumors persist? Part of the answer lies in the way history grapples with women adjacent to power. Eva Braun's lack of political agency has led some to assume she must have exercised influence through sexuality. This is a familiar trope, particularly in narratives about authoritarian regimes. When women are excluded from formal power, they are often imagined as wielding informal power in the bedroom. Another factor is post-war sensationalism. Memoirs, novels, films, and pseudo-historical accounts often exaggerate or invent sexual intrigue to humanize or scandalize figures associated with immense crimes. Eva Braun, largely silent in the historical record, becomes an easy canvas for projection. Finally, there is discomfort with banality. The reality that Eva Braun lived a constrained, emotionally impoverished life devoted to a mass murderer is unsettling precisely because it lacks drama. Affairs, conspiracies, and betrayals offer narrative excitement. Loneliness does not. Modern historians tend to agree on this point. Eva Braun was not a secret manipulator or a hidden libertine. She was a bystander to atrocity, complicit through proximity and silence, but personally narrow in scope. Her tragedy is not romantic, it is claustrophobic. In assessing claims about affairs with Albert Speer or Hermann Fegelein, historians apply a simple standard: evidence. In both cases, the evidence is absent. Not hidden, not destroyed, simply non-existent. The consensus is therefore clear. While Eva Braun lived among men who abused power, exploited privilege, and indulged in excess, her own emotional life appears to have been defined by exclusivity and dependence. The rumors say more about our desire to complicate her story than about her actual behavior. In the end, the historical record points to a woman who remained loyal to Hitler to the point of self-annihilation, marrying him only when the Reich had fallen, and dying beside him as the world he created collapsed. That grim constancy, rather than any imagined affair, is the most disturbing truth of Eva Braun's life.